Good morning and welcome to Tea Tuesday. I forgot to say Tea Tuesday. And so on Tea Tuesday, it's an open collaboration and you use the hashtag Tea Tuesday. And those who hosted it, there are two ladies who hosted, I believe, and that'll be in my description and the title probably. My Tea Tuesday this morning is going to be a bottled water because I already huffed a big cup of coffee. It's one of those days. Okay, so here's the first thing I'm going to talk about. I overestimated greatly the ability of my grown boys to want to take these in their lunch, to use them at home. We go through bottles of the stuff over there. I've got a Lazy Susan with several hot sauces. They go through those. But will they open these little packets? No. So what I'm doing is I'm going to send one home. Well, I started out with 300. I bet I still have 275. And those are because I forced them on people. I did. So my grandson Evan is 20, and he loves Frank's Red Hot. In fact, he has a keychain that says, it's got a little bottle on it, and it says Frank's Red Hot, and he actually pours the stuff into it, so he'll have it at a moment's notice. It's always on his pants with his keys. So I'm going to give him these. I'm going to take some of these to my mother. I had something else to take to my mother, and I can't remember what it was, but I hope I do remember soon. So that leaves the box empty because last night at midnight, I emptied these. Let me come over closer. I emptied these two roundabout things, and I put, because things were all mixed together, so more Frank's Red Hot that I'll actually keep. And it's also got, I also bought these, what was I thinking, Live and Learn. These are dog treats. Keep them in like a candy jar thing from Walmart. I've got onions, taters, more onions. So this is, that one. And then this is like snacks for the kids or for the can out front where I feed the delivery people. Ruffles, vinegar potato chips, sweet potato chips, some kind of oatmeal snacky things that were on deep discount. I figured they were expired, but they're good for a year. So I guess they just people weren't buying them. That's why it was 90 cents. So my popcorn thing here, pretzels here. More popcorn and tortilla chips. So like the snack bin. That's that. Like so. There you go. I washed everything off. I completely emptied the bins and took. What did I use? Oh, Lysol wipes. I used Lysol wipes to clean them. So that's done. That's probably why I'm so tired this morning, is I was up all night, doing this and that instead of being in bed. I feel like my best working time is sometimes at night because there's nobody here to say, what are you doing? Are you going to throw that away? All right, speaking of that bin over there with the veggies, the onions and the potatoes, I got these two out, and they've been in there a long time, and they've got some spots on them, but it's the outside, and they're still real firm. And so, do they last a long time? It feels like they do. I'm going to cut them I'm going to clean them off first, cut them in half, scrape out the inside seeds and stuff, and put them on a tray in the oven and try to bake them. After I bake them, I'll cool them down, put them in a jar, and one of the days this week, maybe I'll make a soup out of them because I love butternut squash soup. It's not on my meal plan. Like I said, tonight we're having classic chicken and dumplings with a dessert. Okay? I'm also ordering groceries tonight to be delivered tomorrow from Walmart Delivery. Hate it, love it, never happy. Just, it is what it is. I try not to get a lot of produce from them. This is kind of random. It was something that came in the mail, junk mail. It's from one of those walk-in deep soaking tubs that you put in your house, it's like it would be a hot tub, I guess, but more for soaking and relaxing. And I was saying to the kids, you know, if I win the lottery, I won't tell anybody, but there will be signs. Have you ever heard that before? This is going to be one of the signs at my house, right here. It's not looking good. I don't see any numbers the same, but I've never done this before, so maybe I'm looking at it wrong, and I'll wait and get the kids' opinion when they get home from work. And, you know, it was fun. It was like, for me, you know, going to the Dollar Tree or something. And like I said, I don't do this often, so please don't hate on me for it. I don't think it's a sin, and I don't think it was wrong. I think it was just some fun, and I won't do it anymore. It's noon now, and I'm having a turkey, mustard, mayonnaise, tomato on whole grain sandwich. And I think that's it. I was thinking about changing over to Coke, but I'm feeling a little bit like it's not as bad, being tired, but maybe I will still have a Coke. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and make those unbaked oatmeal cookies. That's what I call them. Some people call them boiled cookies. Some people call them cow patties. But anyway, that's what I'm going to make because it's a favorite here and it's fast and easy. And I said I'd do a dessert tonight with the chicken and dumplings. My water is finished. I finished the whole sandwich. And now it's time to get to those cookies. All right, I'm going to do these cookies. I'm not going to make you stay for the whole thing. You'll see the finished product, but I'm going to just show you what I'm doing, bring it to you, see I did this, show you what I'm doing next, bring it to you, see I did this, and ta-da, here's the cookies. So here they're called, and this is dirty like this. It's not really dirty. It's Mama's greasy fingers over 20 years. This used to hang inside my cupboard door in the house that we lived in when the kids that are in their 20s now were born. So it was one of the recipes that I used so often. I just taped it to the door, along with waffles from scratch and pie dough and a couple of others. And I just kept them there. And it was, my daughter would come over and go, I need to write down your recipe, and she would write it down again, you know, and I would have the same problem. So anyway, that's why I taped it inside and used it. So the first 4 ingredients go into a pan. That's 2 cups of sugar. So I've got 2 cups of sugar here. I've got 1/4 cup of cocoa. I always use just Hershey's cocoa. When I started making this recipe when I was practically a kid myself, then all we had that I knew of was Hershey cocoa. It wasn't even dark cocoa, it was just Hershey cocoa. There's so many kinds now. Okay, so the reason I'm telling you that is today I'm using Dutch cocoa. So cocoa powder, not, you know, like hot cocoa, but the kind that is bitter because it's just cocoa powder. So I'll add that to the 2 cups of sugar, and then I'm gonna put in 1 of a stick of butter. I'm using real butter because that's how I roll. And I cut it so that it would maybe melt a little bit easier. And then the last of the 4 ingredients is 1/2 cup of whole milk. So here goes that. Now I'm going to take it over to the stove and show you there what I'm going to do real quick. This is on the stove, but I haven't turned it on yet. And the reason for that is this is one of those recipes, like fudge or other things, where once it gets going, it's time is kept, and you can't go too short a time or too long a time, or your results may be different. This is going to boil 1 minute, and 1 minute only, the first 4 ingredients. Then I'm going to take it off the heat and bring it over here. I have everything ready for that boiled. I'll add 1/2 cup of peanut butter. Your peanut butter doesn't matter as long as you don't use natural or old-fashioned. You want to use something like Skippy, Jif, Peter Pan, whatever, or you know, the store brands of kinds like that. You don't want the kind with the oil in it. It doesn't set up right. It's also got 3 cups of oatmeal. So you want the quick 1-minute oats. You don't want old-fashioned oats, and you don't want instant oats, the kind in the envelopes, or you just add hot water to and it's done. Don't do that. Use the Quaker or any other brand that's quick 1 minute. The store brands are fine. And then your choice of 1 teaspoon of vanilla, any kind. Vanilla, even, you know, imitation vanilla is what I used for years. So I make my own vanilla now, and that's why it's in that container. That's my mother bottle, and I pour into other bottles. So, and then you just want a little tiny bit of salt. And the salt, what is the salt? It's kind of incidental. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'll put that in the oatmeal. I just remembered I didn't do it. Doesn't make a big difference, but salt in sweet does bring the flavor of chocolate out. Let me give credit here too. If I didn't say it, the original recipe, this recipe came from cooks.com. This printed recipe predates YouTube, Instagram, Amazon. This was just back when you went and you know, had to search for things in cookbooks and stuff. So anyway, it was cooks.com, so if it's still there, I'll be surprised. I mean, I'm sure they still have a recipe for this, but whether it's the same one or not, I kind of doubt. Okay, I'm going to get over here. I'm going to get a pot holder first so I can set that hot pan down right here when it gets done with its 1 minute boil, and then I can add it right into this, which I'm going to now put the peanut butter in so it's ready. Okay, sort of rough mixed that peanut butter and oatmeal and salt. I think that was all that was in there. And I'll put the vanilla in last after everything has finished, you know, mixing together, because I want it to get all over everything and not just stick to anything. Do you know what I mean? That didn't even make sense, but I like to put it in last. You put it in whatever you want to put it in. Here's another thing. You only want to use wax paper. You're going to drop this when it's all mixed together by spoonfuls. You can use a regular spoon. I'm going to use this scoop onto wax paper. Don't use parchment. Don't use foil. Don't use a paper bag. I've done all 3 and they don't set up. Of course, I'm just telling you how it happened with me. If you'd like to try it, go ahead. I will tell you right now, many a time when these kids were little, gathered around the paper that I used that didn't work out with a spoon, and they ate it like just soft because it wasn't going to harden. You can too if it doesn't work out for you. If you have the room, you can stick it in your freezer and serve them frozen. They're just as good. There you have that. I like to keep a stir on this to help this all melt together so that when it does come to a boil, there's nothing solid like cold butter. You could get your butter out before I did. You know what I mean? And it'd be soft and ready. You don't have to use it straight out of the refrigerator, but I always forget what I'm going to do or do things at the last minute. So I'm just going to stand here and stir. Got a timer on my stove. I'll hit 1 minute as soon as it's not just a simmer, but a nice boil, in exactly 1 minute. If I ever replace this stove, it's not going to be so big. This thing comes up to my top of my rib cage, I guess. And so I have to really lean against the door and try to peer in. You're seeing what I see. It's not the whole view because I'm 5-ish pounds. Pounds? Yes, that's what I weigh. 5 pounds. I'm lovely. 5 feet tall. So what I was going to say too is my mom is 4'11". I'm 5 feet. My daughter Donna is 5'2", and Patience is almost as tall as she is her mother, and she's only going to be 10 in July. So we're working the shortness out of the family with good nutrition, you know. I think that has a lot to do with it, along with genes. Not the genes you wear, but the genes you're born with a G. Anywho, I hope Patience isn't the mess that her mother was and I was. And apparently my mother was. Not with height, with just attitude and getting into things and marrying young. I married my first husband when I was 15 years old. There'll be a test. I'm going to ask later. And we were married for 21 years. I can't remember anymore. Isn't that funny? It was either 21 or 20 to the day. I think it was 20 years. So anyway, there's that. I'm going to let you go because it's just about ready, and it's going to start boiling here in a minute. Point out, this is very, very loose now, and so this happens just before it starts to bubble along the edges here. And I'll do that any minute. Anyway, I also wanted to tell you, I use a wood spoon when I do this, when I do anything like fudge or anything hot like this, because I like the safety of not having a hot utensil that I accidentally touch. Because, you know, this isn't heat conductive. Is that what they call that? So it's just my preference. All right, so it's starting to boil around the edges. Important to always just continually stir this. And then when you can't stir down a boil that's coming from the middle, you start timing. Okay, we're stirring. And it's done. Take it off and go over here. Be careful with your little kids if you make this. This would be a tragedy if it spilled on somebody. Okay, I'm going to mix the two. All right, what we have here is a glossy hot mess. And hopefully when I drop it by spoonfuls onto this wax paper, it'll first lose its gloss as it hardens, and then it'll be a flat rather than glossy, I think. Okay, as you can see, they're not beautiful, and you can tell why some people call them cow patties. Really, unbaked oatmeal cookies is all I ever called it, and I had a friend that used to always say, that's not what they're called. She was very intent on, you call it what I call it, which was boiled cookies, I think, or I don't know what she called them, but it didn't matter to me. It was like, you know, call it what you call it. You say tomato, I say tomato. I'm going to keep you guys, you know, alerted on how this happens. I always get worried here because things could go south. You never know. Things in the pan are definitely setting up, and that's a good sign. I see a good sign here, a good sign. Watch this. You'll see the edge come up. These are still hot, but they're picking up, so these are going to work. Shoo! I don't have to make a fool of myself on YouTube. Well, you saw me drinking water. Before that, I drank coffee. So I had Coffee Tuesday, Water Tuesday, and now I'm having actual Tea Tuesday. I'm drinking Milo's Zero Sugar, and I love it, and it's going to keep me awake for a little while longer. So here they are. They didn't lose their shine. Maybe it was my imagination. I thought they did lose their gloss, but they're pretty like this. Let me see. Yummy, yummy. And they're good for you. They got oatmeal and peanut butter. I hope if you stuck around this long, you consider subscribing if you have not already. And I'd love to see you tomorrow. I put my videos up at 6 a.m. Take care, everybody. Bye.